Моя мама всегда говорила мне: улыбнись и сделай счастливое лицо. Говорила, мое предназначение — приносить радость и счастье в этот мир.
Todd, as the director previously known for comedies,
Yes.
how did you make that transition into War Dogs and Joker?
I think if you really watch my comedies, they tend to be getting darker and darker and darker before all this. I also think that the comedies, even though they were absurd, the situations, they were always painted with a very real brush. I always liked when the comedies were grounded in reality. I thought things are funnier when you're playing against the real world. So it wasn't as big a leap for me because this is the same approach I took with Joker, which was really let it feel like it's happening in the real world as much as possible.
Do you think Joker is a very special film in a way that there isn't anything to compare it to in the comic world?
You know, for me, in a movie that is a studio movie that's going to have a big release, I think that it challenges the audience in a way. It challenges our perceptions about our world and about each other. And I think it invites you to engage with it and to participate with it in a way that a lot of movies don't. It doesn't provide simple answers or solutions for anything that the character goes through. And I think it asks you to make up your own mind about what motivates him and what is the cause of this behavior and this transformation. And I think that that's pretty rare. Like sometimes you find that in other movies that I've done that are smaller movies, I think people would call adult or whatever the fuck they call it. But I think to have a movie that is a Warner Brothers movie, a studio movie that's getting a big release, it's really rare to have that. So I think in that regard, it's special.
It did have very real feel to it. It's a very different, not a superhero origin of an anti-hero movie.
Yeah.
And do you think like Marvel doesn't have an answer to that?
No, I mean, I think they're doing very well on their own, doing what they do. For me, it's just what interested me about the story was having this intimate feel to it, a more handmade quality. There's something about it that was just more attractive to me. It also makes it a little bit more visceral, you know, the violence. The movie's been getting a lot of people talking about the violence, but there's not that much violence in the movie. It just feels very real, so it has a different effect on you than cartoonish violence, so to speak, you know?
To your fear and sorrow, smile, and maybe tomorrow.
And for you as a director, how would you define what the movie is about?
I would say the movie's about a lot of things. The movie's about childhood trauma. The movie's about lack of love. The movie's about loss of compassion. All these things form into the making of our Joker.
We're trying to basically make a portrait of a person who is experiencing mental illness.
For me, it was about somebody, about the enduring effects of childhood trauma. That's what kind of guided me into this character. I thought it was the foundation. It's the one part of his experience, the story that he's telling that I believe. And I think that it colors all of his behavior for the entire movie, everything that we see. So for me, that's what it was about.
The portrayal of mental illness, such an accurate depiction. Where did you draw the inspiration? How did you write it?
I mean, a lot of that just came from working with one of the greatest actors ever, and him being able to embody that in a certain way. The movie's also kind of about the idea of comedy versus tragedy, the idea of looking for identity. He's searching for a father figure. He sees it in Murray Franklin to start with, then he sees it in Thomas Wayne. This whole idea of finding himself in the movie is a huge theme.
Yeah, because he's good at inverted perception of the world. When everybody sees tragedy, he sees comedy.
That's right.
Для всех, кто думает, что легко справиться с моей работой, вот, посмотрите. Когда я был маленьким и говорил, что стану комиком, люди смеялись надо мной. Что ж, теперь никто не смеется. Что ж, ты чертовски прав.
Was it easy for you to come out from the legacy of Chris Nolan, Zack Snyder, Did you feel the weight on your shoulders? Or?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to. And Tim Burton before them. The way to do it for me was to not necessarily think about it, because if you think about it too much, you get paralyzed with fear and expectations and all those things. So it's not so much that we ignored it out of disrespect. I just couldn't look that way because it would overtake it, you know.
Yeah. What was more challenging for you, the physical transformation, losing so much weight, or the mental strain on you?
It's not really, it's not like that. When you have like pockets of it as you know. I remember even just we were shooting a scene in the staircase where I get this file of photographs and documents from Arkham Hospital, and there's a photograph of a child that, you know, the production designers, they'd obviously taken and made up, and it was just heartbreaking. Just staring at this photo had such an effect on me. So in that moment, I'm affected by this idea. But then I went to fucking lunch, and you know, everything was fine. You know, it's just what making movies is. I hate to say that sometimes. I hate to dispel the mystery, right? Mm-hmm. The mystique of making movies. But the truth is, you know, sometimes it just doesn't affect you that much. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's usually like in these moments where you have to find that emotion, you experience it in that moment, and then you're done.
So you live work at work, and then you enjoy
I don't see the difference. My whole life becomes about work. I'm not saying this is work and this isn't. You know, particularly because of the diet I was on, you don't realize how much like food and drink, how much like socializing revolves around food and drink. So my social circle was Todd, which means that when we were together, we just talked about the movie. So I just was at work or I was home working on the movie.
Must have been a torture, though. You were having one apple when other people were having proper lunch.
It wasn't one apple. I don't know who said that. I think Todd probably did.
What was it?
It was, there was also lettuce and steamed asparagus with vinegar.
Мюррей хотел попросить. Да? Будешь объявлять? Назови меня Джокер.